Hey everyone, welcome back to Williamson Ridge Outdoors. We are sitting in the cab of our 2023 Chevy Silverado 2500 HD because I wanted to share something with you about an accessory for this truck that I would recommend any diesel owner to get, especially any new diesel owners. Now, some of the older diesels that may not have, DPF or emissions systems on them may not be as big of a deal unless you just like to monitor other things like, temperatures and oil pressures and boost pressures and that kind of stuff. For the new diesels that you may want to keep track of emissions, and whether you're in regen or whether you're not in regen, that kind of stuff is pretty important to me, because a lot of the things that I've read, people have said that one of the best things to prolong the life of a new diesel is, one, to not let it sit in idle for a long time, but also to not cancel your regen multiple times. So if you're driving home from work and it goes into regen mode and you get home and you shut it off before it quits, then your truck's really hot and your exhaust system is really hot, and you're shutting it off in the middle of that cycle. Well, according to the manual, yes, it'll go right back into that cycle whenever you start the truck up and it gets up to operating temperature. Then it starts the regen again, and then we'll just kind of continue on until it finishes. But if you continue to do that over and over and over, it never gets to complete the regen, then it can cause problems, and you may have to take it to a dealer and have them actually do a manual regen or a parked regen, which then in turn could just cause problems later, or it's just a big hassle having to even worry about doing that. So I'm talking about the Banks iDash data monster. And what this thing does basically is monitors everything that goes on in your truck, and it will keep track of all your emissions temperatures and all the information you need, or whether you're in regen or not in regen. And it's very vital information in trying to keep your new diesel healthy. So the iDash is very easy to install. It just plugs into your OBD2 port, and then you just kind of run the wire up to your windshield. And then, like I say, I've got that suction cup that I mounted mine with. And for right now, that's working good. Where it really helps me out is if I'm in the middle of a regen and say I drive home and it says that, like, this thing will tell you what percentage you're at and when this thing's going to kick off. So if I'm about to pull in the driveway and say I've got 5% left on my regen, then I can actually just drive on down the road a little ways and run it for a few more minutes and then come on up to the house, and it'll be kicked off. The regen will be shut down, and I don't have to park the truck whenever the exhaust is at 1200 degrees. It'll cool back off in just a matter of a couple minutes and get back down to 400 or 500 degrees where it's normally operating. So I'll show you right now what I've got mine set on, and there's like 200 parameters that you can program into this, but I'll just show you the ones that I think that are most important, and the ones that I'm watching right now. So I'm going to start the truck up, and that's going to trigger the iDash. So when it detects engine RPM, it will start up and start showing the information that you have programmed into it. So for right now, I have the exhaust gas temperature. This is in front of the DPF. And then I've got the DPF regen percentage, and this is basically the trigger that turns it on. So when this reaches 100%, then it'll turn on the regen. The one underneath it is the diesel particulate filter in time in minutes, and it's been 1,224 minutes between regens is what that's showing. And then this one over here shows the miles between regens. So it was 625 miles between the previous and the last regen. And then down here, the third one down is the exhaust gas temperature after the DPF. And why that's important is because you can see this running all the time, like while you're driving, and it will come up to temperature and be running, 300, 400, 500 degrees at the most usually. But then whenever it's in regen, then this temperature will come up to 1,000 degrees and even come on up to pushing 1,200 degrees. And then the one here beside of it is the DPF soot level. And a lot of times these are close to each other. Sometimes they're different. And then sometimes the trigger will go off and it'll go to 100%, but then this one will say still like 80 or so percent. And why that's important, because it kind of, I think it works kind of two ways. Like once this one hits 100, then this one actually in just a matter of a couple minutes will just go right on up to 100 and kick the regen on. Now I haven't had it reversed where the soot level is low or higher than the trigger, but I assume that they kind of work in correspondence with each other. Once one hits 100, then the other one will kind of just come up and match it and kick the regen on. And then the bottom one down here, you can see it says regen and off. So right now the regen is off. And once, like I say, once these hit 100%, then it will kick on and it will say that it's in regen mode. And just for fun, I decided to put the gear selector on here because the Chevy does not have the transmission position on it. So this actually tells you what gear you're in at all times. Now you can pick different screens in order to have a whole bunch of different settings. Like you can have boost pressure and RPMs and speed, and there's like 200 different parameters that you can program into this. And you can also have multiple screens here to change through. So for instance, if I push this button and hold it, it switches to a different page, and it has like oil pressure, boost pressure. Again, I've got what gear I'm in here. I haven't really went through all these and set these different pages yet. It tells your battery voltage, four-wheel drive selection, and I believe there's 5 different screens that you can go through. Again, I've got boost pressure here, exhaust gas temps, just a few different settings there. There's page 4, which again has more settings. Page 5, which is the same as actually page 4 because I haven't changed any of these. And it goes back to page 1, which is the ones I usually watch all the time. So I called the bank's customer service, and they assured me that this would not void your warranty. I was worried about that, just hooking anything up to the vehicle, but it is not a tuner and does not change, your mapping of your engine or anything like that. Now, it can actually force a regen, and if you got to the point where you needed to do that, then you can do it with this tool. I've actually heard of some people, getting close to the regen, and instead of waiting for it to kick in, if they were going to be on a road trip where they're going to be traveling for like an hour at a time, they would just go ahead and turn the regen on and have it go ahead and clean everything out. That way, when they got back, it was ready to go. For their shorter trips, they didn't have to worry about it being in the middle of a regen and having to park it. So I just wanted to share this. This is a really neat device, and it's super easy to hook up and be able to get all this information at just the push of a button. So if you'd want me to go through more features and how to use this, leave a comment below and let me know that. But I did want to share this and what kind of information and the importance of the information, at least to me anyways, that this thing actually can put out. Plus, this specific model actually does take an SD card, and I can record all those parameters that my truck is doing. So it will actually make a record, and you can go back and put it like in a laptop or something and see a history. So if you're having problems or the engine has a misfire every once in a while, anything that's going on, you can record those and go back and review that, and even take it to your mechanic or and let them review what's going on and see those things that are happening and causing, maybe some potential issues for your vehicle. So it's really cool because a lot of times when you're at the mechanic, you can't get it to replicate the problem that it's having. So with that, then you don't need to. You can just tell it to record those parameters, and it will keep that record whenever it does do that. And you have something to take back and show the mechanic, exactly what's going on. I'll also leave an affiliate link in the description below so you can check this out yourself. If you do purchase it there, I will get a small commission off of it. But that kind of stuff just goes back into the channel to help me bring this type of content to the channel. And I appreciate all your support there in doing that. Also, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. That goes a long way in helping out the channel also. And we'll see you next time.